The Laban Efforts, Scaring with Sammy. The Laban Efforts stem from the work of Rudolf Laban, who examined and studied and categorized movement and gave an incredible tool to dancers and actors to be able to explore and discuss movement with relatively objective terms. So every movement is one of these 8 different efforts. There's thrust, flail, press, ring, dab, flick, glide, and float. And each of these efforts is broken down into 3 different elements. Well, actually 4, but one of them is subsumed into these different 8 efforts. So it's not really as important. We're just going to deal with these 3. We have space, time, and power. It's almost like you have 3 of Thanos' Infinity Stones. So every movement is either direct or indirect. Every movement is either fast or slow and sustained. And every movement is either strong or light and weak. I use strong and heavy and light and weak. You'll find these in different forms. I like to use them interchangeably depending on how I want the movement to feel. As haunters, we're very and most familiar with the thrust. Direct, fast, sudden. Direct, fast, strong. Because this is what we have for startle scares. Guests are coming through, and direct, fast, strong. If we want to do a lighter scare, that would be a dab. Direct, fast, light. So the guests are coming and dab. If we're doing an indirect scare, guests are coming, and that would be a flail. Indirect, fast, strong. And, and the rest of these movements as well. For example, a press, direct, slow, strong. This is your Jason, who doesn't have to run after you because there's nothing in the world that's going to stop him. So these are the basic movements. And now you can play and mix and match them, of course. So in a haunted house situation, you might find, say, float, indirect, slow, light, and direct, fast, sudden. Going to a scare from that. Or do it the other way around. You have light, weak, and indirect, and then slow, direct, strong. It's almost like you have my attention now, and you can feel the dynamic tension between these different types of movements. You can even do them both at the same time. At Universal Studios, I played the Green Goblin for a while, and people would want pictures. And so I'd be standing there and I'd give them slow, direct, strong, the invitation. And then they started walking, and then I'd have this hand, fast, indirect, strong. And then they would stop because the disparity between these 2 completely different movements in the same body, it just made them stop. So you can play with these. You might have to work on that a little bit beforehand because you're telling your body to do 2 completely different things. But this is not just for movement. The Laban Efforts are fantastic for characterization as well. You can take whole characters out of these different efforts. For example, float, indirect, slow, light. I feel like this is more of a ghost-like. Here we are. And of course, if I wanted to mix it up with a thrust, then of course, once again, that juxtaposition. But the character basically would be indirect, slow, light. Now let's switch that up. Let's change that to indirect, light, and fast. And now I've got all of this energy that's not going anywhere, and that's more of maybe say a 4 or a 5, but let's bring it down to a 2, and it's just inside. And now I've got this nervous energy. This is light, indirect, and weak. And now let's change it. Let's go to indirect, fast, and strong. And now this is manic. Now we've got, if you can hold this for a couple seconds at a time in the middle of an asylum or something like that, you've got manic. Now let's take it and make that slow, indirect, and strong. And now it's a ring. And it's, you've got all of this energy moving around. And so by just changing one of these, playing with each one of these different efforts, you're creating all of these different characters. So it's an incredible tool to be able to create characterization, and then you can have movements, separate movements on top of that, mixing and matching. And once again, just because I said, ooh, this is a ghost, floating is a ghost, doesn't mean that. You could have timid as well. The elements are objective. The characterizations are limited only by your imagination on how you feel that these efforts make you feel. On top of that, the Laban Efforts are fantastic for voice as well. Just take a simple word like the word yes. We'll do a thrust, direct, fast, sudden, strong. Yes. Now let's do it the other way. Indirect, slow, light. Yes. I'm not even sure if that's a yes anymore. So you can even just play with the words. Just play with the words as they are. So you thrust and a flail, press, ring, dab, flick, glide, float. That's just using those words. Now, if you are working a room and you have these the guest coming through, and you have lines and things that you're going to say because, you know, you're pushing the scene and you actually have gotten into a, well, I like the way that these words sound. I like what this does to the guest. Now you can take those lines, because it's almost like you have a script, and start saying, I'm going to press this word. I'm going to ring this word. And then you can move them around, mix them around, change, and you have dynamic tension in your vocal quality as well. So these are the 8 efforts. I'm going to leave this up in just a moment. This is not only an incredible tool for exploration, but also for discussion, because as I said, it's a vocabulary of relatively objective terms so that your director or you can say, well, I want this to be a little bit lighter. I want this to be stronger. I want this to be fast. I want this to be indirect. So you have this tool because it's a fantastic vocabulary. Like I said, I'm going to leave this up. The Laban Efforts. Scaring with Sammy.